Bitcoin has soared its way to the 50k level for the first time since 2021. 50,000 United States dollars for one Bitcoin. It is crazy. We discussed how this $48,000 to $50,000 Bitcoin is the line in the sand for the next bull market. So let's dive into the price analysis and let's see what can happen in the imminent short term, in the medium term, and what can happen in the long term. Hello everyone, my name is J1 General and welcome back to another cryptocurrency video. If you like this type of content, make sure you hit that like button, make sure you hit that subscribe button as it means oh so much to me. If you are a fan of cryptocurrency, I have a cryptocurrency shop where you can shop cryptocurrency products. There is a nice 10 to 20% discount right now, so I'll leave a link in the description down below so you can have a good discount on your next shop. So without further ado, let's begin. And let's begin with the Bitcoin price action and what we can expect in the imminent short term, because there are some red flags, yeah? And I don't want to dive into like bearish divergences on the RSI, because those you probably see all the time on Twitter anyway. But I just want to discuss, and I've said this in previous videos before, because something has happened in the past doesn't mean it can happen again, yeah? And that is going to be the theme of this video, because I'm sure you've all seen this 618 Fibonacci retracement. Well, I mean, everyone and their dogs have probably seen this Fibonacci retracement, but I'm just gonna label all of the cycles, yeah, because I just want to show you guys something that I believe is just really important, and why everyone believed that this 48k was essentially the line in the sand for Bitcoin to begin its major bull run. So we'll just take a look at the last few cycles. So if we go to the cycle of 2015, you can essentially see that the Bitcoin price did not break this 618 Fibonacci until we went into the next bull market, which was after the 2016 halving. So the 2016 halving was around this area here, and the Bitcoin price didn't break the 618 Fibonacci, which is right here, until after the halving, and then price went parabolic. Just like last cycle, where the Bitcoin halving was around April of 2020, and the Bitcoin price did not break the 618 Fibonacci until September of 2020 before going into a parabolic rally, yeah? So the reason why the line in the sand was around that 48 to 50k level was because that elusive 618 was around 48, 49, max 50k if we were to wick up there. Because if you look at last cycle, the price did wick above the 618 before ultimately crashing back down. But in this cycle, yes, we've attacked it a few times. Could it be different this time? Of course, because there are a couple of reasons as to why I believe the Bitcoin price could further go upwards. So please stay tuned until the end of this video, because I'm going to give you two reasons as to why I believe the Bitcoin price could reach even higher levels in the medium term. Another thing that I want to show you guys is that in the halving year, every February of the halving year, the Bitcoin price manages to reach back down to its bull market support band. So as we are entering into a new week, or we have entered into a new week, as today is Tuesday, the bull market support band currently ranges between 39.3k and 39.8k. Yeah, so just shy of 40k for both bands. And this concludes to a 20% drop, as the price is currently 49.9k, as you can see right here. So a 20% drop, yeah? Keep that in mind, because in every February of the halving year, the bull market support band always acts, or the price of Bitcoin always goes back down to the bull market support band. It happened right here in 2020. If we go to 2016, it happened right here. And if we go back to 2012, it happened again right here. So just like the 618, where we don't have to not pass it until after the halving, this cycle could be different, to the point where the price doesn't have to go back to the bull market support band in February of the halving year. It could just be a major coincidence that the price has fallen back to the bull market support band in February of the halving year. So just like the 618 Fibonacci, we don't have to have a correction and come back down to then pass it on after the halving. We could break it before the halving, which is what I'm trying to say, and we don't have to come back down to the bull market support band in February. But just keep that in mind, because if it does happen, you are aware of the current situation. There are a couple of red flags that I want to bring up before I discuss why I do believe that the Bitcoin price could be heading higher in the short term. But if we also take a look at the liquidity levels, guys, the liquidity levels is very important, because this does hold some significant weight in regards to where the Bitcoin price could be heading in the short term. So this is currently the weekly chart, and you can see there is major levels of liquidations around that 46 to 48k level. We do have a small build up of liquidations around that 50.5k, so we could take that out in the imminent short term. However, within the next couple of weeks, 46 to 48k, a small dip could be a potential scenario, as there is major levels of liquidity. If we take a look at the 3-day, I'm sure this will give us a clearer picture as well. Yep, again, you can see that 50.5k, there's a lot of liquidations, and then there's also a lot of liquidations between that 47 and 48k. So those are two potential prices we can go to in the imminent short term. We could have a small dip to those levels, or we could also rise up to 50.5k before coming back to those levels, or we could essentially just rip straight up, as the narrative of the Bitcoin spot ETF and the current inflows are outweighing the current outflows. And as these institutions are buying Bitcoin, there is a high demand and there is a low supply of Bitcoin. So simple economics, guys, if there's high demand and low supply, then that's just going to cause price to surge. Yeah, but let me get into the reasons as to why I believe the Bitcoin price could rise in the short term. And this is probably some analysis you have not seen on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. This is definitely an analysis you haven't seen, yeah? So if I were to overlay this chart with interest rates, and I just want to show you guys something, yeah? If we take a look at the probability of when the Fed will cut for the first time, probability speaking, it is likely to be in May, the 1st of May. It is a higher chance for the Fed to cut to 500 to 525 basis points, because the next meeting is the 20th of March. And the 20th of March, there's an 84.5% chance that the Fed will keep interest rates higher for longer and allow the rates to remain the same. So, if we take a look at last cycle, you can see that the interest rates peaked at this level right here, which is also a coincidence, because that is when the Bitcoin price peaked for the first time. Yeah, and not for the first time, it peaked mid-cycle. So that mid-cycle peak in 2019 alluded with the fact that the interest rates also peaked a month before the Fed cut for the first time, which is this area right here. So if history was to repeat, again, it doesn't have to repeat, but this is a potential scenario that we need to be aware of. If the Fed do not cut until May, then that means that a month before, or from the meeting before, price can peak at that point right there. So if the cut occurs in May, then the Bitcoin price could peak in April or in March, yeah, which will be around this area right here, if it was to remain the same, because then interest rates will come back down here like this, they'll pause, and then they would cut. So the Bitcoin price could essentially rise even further, because that is essentially what happened last cycle. Yeah, that's just one theory, one thesis that is good to keep in mind. But another more important thesis and theory, which is why I believe the Bitcoin price could be higher, is because if we take a look at the Ethereum Bitcoin evaluation, yeah, and we overlay it with the Bitcoin price. So we have the Ether Bitcoin valuation, which is the green and red candles, and we have the Bitcoin price in this orange candle. If I just switch it to a logarithmic chart, we can see, yeah, that with the Ethereum Bitcoin chart, we always enter these phases of downturns for Ethereum, Bitcoin, where it comes back down. We should expect the same to occur. If I just hide this Bitcoin chart for just a second, you'll be able to see it more clearly, because Ethereum has this 1-2 punch, mid-cycle dip, and then drop. 1-2 punch, mid-cycle dip, and then a big drop. We have a 1-2 punch, and then a mid-cycle dip, and then a drop. Yeah. So if we analyze in past history what caused the Ethereum Bitcoin chart to have this significant drop, and why I think the Ethereum Bitcoin chart could also drop in the near short term. Now if we overlay this with the Bitcoin price, you can see that this Ethereum Bitcoin drop occurred because of a Bitcoin USD pump. The same again. Bitcoin pumps, Ether Bitcoin breaks down. If we go back 2 cycles ago, as mentioned, Bitcoin pump, Ether Bitcoin drops. Bitcoin pump, Ether Bitcoin drops. Yeah, and just like so, you can see where the jaws start to open up, just like here. Bitcoin USD goes up, Ether Bitcoin goes down. The jaws opened up. Yeah. If we take a look at this cycle, you can see that Bitcoin USD goes up and Ether Bitcoin goes down. So the jaws have opened up. So that is another thing, you know. We can say that this pump isn't over just yet, because the Ethereum Bitcoin chart hasn't had that significant breakdown. We haven't had that significant breakdown to the point where we can see or suggest that the Ethereum Bitcoin chart has had this massive breakdown, because we've had this 1-2 mid-cycle pump, 1-2 mid-cycle pump. We've had this 1-2 mid-cycle decline. We've had this drawdown, which is also confluent with this level right here and this level right here. We've now had the pullback, the pullback, but we haven't had this epic drawdown, or this epic drawdown that will reach essentially the 3.8 to 4 level range right here. We haven't had that just yet. So in prior history, Ether Bitcoin broke down on a Bitcoin pump. So Bitcoin could increase further to further break down Ethereum Bitcoin. Yeah, and that is when the accumulation of a lifetime for altcoins could occur, because especially if Bitcoin pumps and breaks altcoins, including Ethereum, off its pairing with altcoins, and then what happens when Bitcoin then takes a dump? Then altcoins just get wrecked, and that is when it is the best opportunity to buy altcoins, just before the next major bull run occurs, and then Ethereum and altcoins can go on this massive run. Do you understand? So that's it from me today, guys. I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you hit that thumbs up. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, as it means a lot to me. And as always, it's been your boy J1 General. Thank you and goodbye.